How bad is it to skip pet insurance? Skipping pet insurance can feel like a smart way to save money at first, but one unexpected vet emergency can change that fast. Without coverage, every visit, every procedure, or even a simple prescription comes straight out of your pocket. I'm just going to give you an opinion on this right off the bat. My opinion is if you cannot afford a $2,000 emergency vet bill, then you need pet insurance. It really is that simple. And I'm going to convince you of that by the time we get to the end of this video, if you'll stick with me. Let's discuss the issue in more detail so you can make a fully informed decision on whether it's okay to skip it. If you've not been here before, my name is Deborah. I own peoplelovinganimals.com, a website all about the care, health, and training of dogs and cats. I'm going to use this post called "How Bad Is It to Skip Pet Insurance" to guide us through today's video. So I'm going to give you everything you need in the description box. I'll give you a link to this post. I'll give you all the links of anything we talk about in today's video. And I'm also going to give you a link to get a tool called the Swiftest Pet Insurance Comparison Tool. It's very easy to use, and I think currently they have the top 7 pet insurance companies, and you can just see right there at a glance the comparisons for price, policy, what it covers. It's just the easiest way to get in a good pet insurance policy that works for you. I think a lot of the time, the reasons pet owners don't get pet insurance is because they don't know where to start. There are so many companies, you don't know what you should get, you don't know what you should be paying, you don't want to get screwed. You don't want to pay more than you have to, but then you don't want to not have the coverage you need. But I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and use that comparison tool because it really will help you a lot. What happens if you don't have pet insurance? Let's say your dog swallows something they shouldn't, and your cat gets into a scuffle and ends up needing a bunch of stitches. These aren't just a few bucks here and there. These can rack up thousands. Decisions get super tough when money's tight, and the pressure is all on you to cough up those funds in a heartbeat. It's not just the emergencies that can break the bank. Everyday stuff like regular checkups, vaccinations, or even a little flea treatment all add up. It's shocking just how fast these costs can sneak up on you. It's important to realize that without insurance backing you up, you're flying solo on these expenses. You might think it's only the big stuff that costs, but even routine pet care can drill a hole in your pocket if you're not prepared. Here are just a few quick examples of pet costs with and without insurance. If you had an emergency surgery between $2,000 and $5,000, I personally have had to pay that before. Typical coverage would cover 70 to 90% of that. X-rays and diagnostics, they're saying 150 to 400, which would be covered 70 to 90% by insurance. I had a wiener dog once who slipped on the ice, hurt her back, and the instant cost me $1,000. I took her to the vet. She had to have x-rays. She had to have pain killers. She had to have muscle relaxers. She had to have a follow-up appointment. One slip on the ice was $1,000. Okay, that's just an example from my own life. A routine vet visit can be between $50 and $250. They're often covered with wellness add-ons. Routine stuff isn't always covered, but we're just giving you some examples of what you might have in a policy. You don't have to have all the coverage, obviously. Prescription medication can be $30 to $150 a month. You can get partial or full reimbursement through pet insurance for that. That same dachshund that I just mentioned, she developed Cushing's disease later in her life, and her medication for the Cushing's disease was $95 a month, and that was like 15 years ago. So I also had, she also suffered from congestive heart failure, and I also had a Boston Terrier who suffered from congestive heart failure. And that heart medication is, it's expensive. They usually also need a diuretic with that. The prescriptions alone, if you have health insurance for your pet in place before they're diagnosed in older age with these sorts of things, you can save thousands on the medication that they might need as they age. I'm going to give you Oh, I'm sorry, I just clicked into this by mistake. Give you a link to get my checklist called 12 questions to ask before you buy pet insurance. I'll give you that link in the description box, and you can go ahead and grab that if you want. It'll probably be helpful to you. That checklist, it basically helps you to be more informed, like what do you even look for, right? I hope it helps you. Is pet insurance really worth the cost? Pet insurance can sometimes look like an extra bill that you don't want on your list, but hear me out. It can really save you some sleepless nights. Imagine getting a vet bill way beyond what you expected, and you're scrambling to figure out how to pay it and still keep food on the table. With the right pet insurance, those nightmare scenarios are a lot less stressful. As a longtime pet owner, I personally think it's terrifying to have any sort of medical emergency with a pet. That's bad enough, but also having the added stress of knowing that you might not be able to pay for the care they need, that's just brutal. Most insurance plans cover a crazy range of stuff, everything from surgeries to unexpected illnesses to in late night emergency vet visits. Think of it as more of a trusty safety net than some fancy luxury. Pet insurance is not a luxury any more than our own health insurance is a luxury. Stuff happens, accidents happen, illness happens, and things are expensive. They just are. The premiums might feel like a lot sometimes, but weighing them against the potential vet bills can really show their value. Consider it like putting aside a rainy day fund, except it's more about ensuring your pet's well-being without breaking your bank. To simplify the decision, consider what I always say. If you can't afford a $2,000 emergency vet bill, then you need to get pet insurance. I'm going to give you a couple more videos. Specifically, is dog health insurance worth it, and is cat health insurance worth it? This is my boy Whiskers, by the way. And in those videos, I give you specific examples of things that have happened with my pets. That particular dachshund, by the way, I refer to her as my $20,000 dachshund because when I got her several years ago, I honestly didn't even realize that pet insurance existed. If it did, I didn't know about it. It literally never occurred to me at that point. Nobody I knew had pet insurance. Anyway, in the 6.5 years that I had her, I adopted her when she was already older. She literally cost me $20,000. Now, I would pay that again all day long. I was very fortunate to be able to pay those expenses for her, but I literally could have saved thousands of dollars if I would have gotten a pet insurance policy as soon as I adopted her. In the cat video, I also give you some examples from my own life, excuse me, about some pretty hefty expenses that I had with more than one cat. And like I said earlier, it's bad enough that, the cat or the dog has got this problem, and sometimes it can be fatal. It's really upsetting. But to have to worry about whether you can even pay for what they need, I don't know. That would keep me up at night. Do you know what I mean? How to decide if you need pet insurance. Figuring out if pet insurance is right for you and your pet doesn't need to be a headache. A solid first step is taking a good look at your pet's specific needs. Their age, their breed, and even lifestyle all play a major role in potential health risks. If you've got a young, rowdy pup that's into everything, or a purebred cat prone to certain health issues, insurance might feel less like an option and more of a necessity. But maybe you're lucky enough to have a pet with a clean bill of health. In that case, weighing the cost against the likelihood of big vet bills down the road becomes crucial. I've always thought big vet bills would probably be less likely, at least while your pet is young. But yesterday I received an estimate from my vet for $1,000 to $1,500 to have my cat Whiskers' teeth professionally cleaned. He has tons of plaque buildup, and he's already developed gingivitis, which is dangerous, and he's only 4. This was at the time that I wrote this post, which was, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. It was worse than that. It ended up being worse than that. My cat didn't end up just having plaque. He ended up having a thing called tooth resorption, which I won't get into it in this video. But he's a 4-year-old cat, and it turns out he has this terrible disease that's a dental disease, and it did cost about $1,000, and he had to have 4 teeth pulled. This is a 4-year-old cat. Who'd have thunk, right? Who would have ever expected that? But, I'm just giving you an example. These things just, they just come up. Shopping for pet insurance, shopping for the best insurance plan can feel overwhelming with all the options out there. There's no one size fits all. Shopping for pet health insurance and trying to compare policies, coverage, and prices can be downright daunting. Again, I'm going to give you a link to this tool to check it out. And seriously, it'll save you tons of time. Also, ask your veterinarian for advice. It never hurts to ask for a bit of expert guidance whenever you're making any decisions regarding your pet. Chatting with your vet can offer insights you might not have considered. They've seen it all before and can usually point you in the right direction, helping you figure out what makes the most sense for your situation and even for your particular pet. Now, just so that you know, veterinarians don't accept or not accept your pet insurance. Veterinarians are not paid by your pet insurance company like it is for people. Okay, you get the pet insurance and then you pay the vet bills and the pet insurance reimburses you. Okay, that's basically how it works. So you do need to have, for example, I always recommend people get a credit card called carecredit.com, and you can get approved for that pretty easily. And they will cover vet bills. And if it's anything over, I think it's $200, they will give you 18 months to pay it without any interest on it. So that's one way that, well, how am I going to get the money in my pocket to pay for it? That is one way you can do that. Or even, if you had to take money out of your savings account, if you had to borrow it from your mom, like whatever, at least your pet insurance policy is going to reimburse you. They're going to cover that, okay? So just so you know, ask your vet because they just might have some really good insights for you. They also might have some knowledge about what pet insurance policies they've known have been good for their clients. But just so you know, the vet doesn't yes or no accept the insurance. I hope I'm making sense there. Again, I'm going to give you a link to get that checklist about what to think about when you're buying health insurance. Let's just talk quickly about some frequently asked questions about pet insurance. Is pet insurance worth it for older pets? It depends on your pet's age and overall health. Premiums are higher for seniors, but insurance can still help cover major illnesses, injuries, or ongoing treatments that become more common with age. Can I get pet insurance after an injury? Yes, you can get pet insurance, but it won't cover that particular injury. Once an injury or illness occurs, it's considered a pre-existing condition and won't be covered. It's best to enroll your pet before any problems arise so you're protected for future incidents. What's the average monthly cost of pet insurance? Most plans cost between $20 and $60 per month for dogs and $15 to $40 a month per cat for cats, depending on the pet's age, breed, and coverage options that you choose. Some companies give a discount if you insure multiple pets. I'm going to give you a link for my recommendation, which is called Lemonade. If you'd like to skip all the shopping and just get a basic policy at an affordable price, I suggest checking out Lemonade Pet Insurance. They have policies starting at $10 a month. I'm going to give you a link to get a free quote from them, and I'm also going to give you a link to my full review. Okay, so if you're like, I don't know what to do, I don't want to make a career out of trying to figure out what pet insurance, I can recommend that one. Get a basic policy and then use it for a while and you'll learn, you'll figure out, I wish it would cover this, or I don't think I need that. Just getting this one, it's inexpensive, it's not a big risk, and you can kind of get used to having pet insurance and learn about learn about, how it actually works. So I'm going to give you this post. There's a lot more resources available for you on my website about this and any other topic, basically, regarding the care, health, and training of your dog or cat. I hope so much that this video was helpful. Please feel free to comment on any questions that you have. I would also love it if you would comment with your own personal experiences, like have you had unexpected vet visits or, expenses that you wish you had insurance for, or have you had pet insurance now or in the past and it either did or didn't cover something? If you could, chime in with your own questions or your own personal experience, that would be really helpful to people who are watching this video in the future. So again, I hope so much the video was helpful. My name is Deborah and my website is peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks again.